What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Freddie Roach, Errol Spence, Manny Pacquiao, and Keith, one-time Thurman. Get this. Freddie Roach states that I think the last opponent, Thurman, is actually better than Spence. I've been studying tapes and so forth and going through what he does well and what he doesn't do well. And I think it's a good fight for Manny. And that's Freddie Roach on Errol Spence Jr. Well, let me counterpunch, people. This thing is apparent, okay, with Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach does his job. If you know anything about Freddie, you know the backstory of Freddie. Freddie has Parkinson's, and Freddie his job is his purpose, okay? And he looks at things the way he looks at things. And for him to say Keith Thurman is actually better than Errol Spence to Manny Pacquiao, the only truth that I can come up with is the fact that Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence are two southpaws. Errol Spence and Keith Thurman are two totally different fighters. And Keith Thurman is a guy that he's a very good boxer. He's a very aggressive boxer. Okay, he has good boxing fundamentals. I just think he didn't anticipate how fast Manny was, especially coming out. Okay, and when he got caught and he got surprised. And all those other punches, him trying to walk down Manny was a mistake. And everything is hindsight in 2020, meaning, hey, that fight's been said and done. And maybe Freddie Roach is right. Let's say he is right with Keith Thurman being better than Errol Spence to Manny Pacquiao. Mind you, because styles make fights. And I want to remind people, it's not the fact that, overall Errol Spence is better than Keith Thurman. The narrative has been Keith Thurman has been ducking Errol Spence. Every time Errol Spence has wanted to fight Keith Thurman, he's either been injured or whatever. But I understand that, and I, explained that and counterpunched that to everyone on why I feel that fight never happened. But as far as the styles, I think Keith Thurman is a guy that he fights in an orthodox stance. He has a good straight right hand. I think he started a little too late, but I mean, you have to remember something. That was a split decision loss for Keith Thurman. Okay, so Keith Thurman has been in a lot of close fights. He just happened to lose that fight. Whereas Errol Spence, I think Errol Spence is more of a guy that's people don't really respect his agility. Okay, what showed me that Errol Spence had agility and true boxing ability is the way he fought Danny Garcia, because Danny Garcia he has some heavy punching power, and he knew, hey, I don't want to get hit with these punches. But then again, Danny Garcia really didn't press Errol Spence. It was really the opposite. Errol Spence pressed him, but he did it in a very strategic way. Okay, he didn't come forward and just, run him down and, work the body like he normally does and just walks these fighters down like he did. He didn't do that with Danny Garcia. And I think what Freddie Roach is, I think what he's overlooking is the way Errol Spence can adjust. Okay, and he's tough. You know what I mean? I don't see him going down from that same right hook that Keith Thurman went down in. Even though Keith Thurman was surprised by that right hook, by the speed of Manny Pacquiao being that old at 40 years old, okay? Matter of fact, was he even 40 years old at that time? I think he was. I think he had just turned 40. Yeah, 78. So he was 40 years old when they fought. Now he's 42, about to be 43. So that 2 years, we don't know. And what I've seen of Manny, you could definitely tell, like, hey, this is not the Manny of old. All right, so maybe 2 years ago, again, he might have been better. But coming back, speaking of Errol Spence is a guy that he likes to work the body, and I think that will be a very, very valuable asset in this fight, the body work. Okay, when he really does pin Manny, if he can pin Manny. Okay. And people doubt that, hey, he can go in and out, just as quick. He can get in and get out and throw his punches. He works off the jab. He has very good fundamentals, but then he's tough. Okay. So so here's the thing. The problems that are the things that Keith Thurman wouldn't have done, Errol Spence might do. But Errol Spence, I think, is more durable overall to take these punches from this older guy like Manny. Don't take too many of them, but I think, the durability of Errol Spence, of Errol Spence will be the factor in this fight also. So with him saying that Keith Thurman is better than Errol Spence, well, they fight two different ways, people. So it's kind of hard to say, oh, well, Keith Thurman, I think, is better, because that's really just trying to boost up your fighter and host the fact that, hey, we've already beat the harder fighter. Okay. Now here's the spin. Okay. Here's the counterpunch to this. Have you guys noticed that it was a fight to be made? The fight was signed once upon a time, and then then due to COVID, it didn't happen, and they came back to that fight, and they were going to do that fight, and then all of a sudden it just fell through, right? With Terrence Crawford. Well, we know the same man that's saying that Keith Thurman is better or a better opponent for Manny Pacquiao than Errol Spence is the same guy that said that Terrence Crawford, we don't like the style of Terrence Crawford at all. And he said that a very long time ago. I mean, he said that probably like 2015, 16, right? I mean, he said that a very long time ago. So, you take that for what it is. And it has to be something about Errol Spence style that they do like and they think they can exploit. But the same thing, Mikey Garcia probably thought that he ended up wrong. It's one thing getting in there with Errol Spence, but it's a totally different thing when you're tussling with that big boy. And that guy can hit and he can take a hit, okay? So it's not how hard you get hit. It's how hard you can get hit and constantly move forward. Oh, Rocky quote in there. But no, that's absolutely true. I think that those guys have different styles, so it's hard to tell who's better than the other one because they never fought each other, to see who was better with them. But then they're fighting Manny. So for Manny, will he be worse than or a better opponent than Keith Thurman or whatnot, or vice versa? We will see that very, very soon. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Freddie Roach's assessment that Keith Thurman is a better fighter than Errol Spence. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.